Today, I'm going to share with you something that might challenge everything you think you know about what making money with paid ad looks like. And I really want to share with you key questions that you want to have in mind if your goal is really to build wealth with your business through marketing. Now, over the past 4 years, I've generated over $12 million in revenue, managing about $3.8 million in ad spend across clients that we work with. And I've discovered that there's one thing that most people tend to overlook because it's not really widely known or shared in the marketing space. And that's keeping a lot of business owners, a lot of entrepreneurs in a type of a vicious cycle where they're spending a lot of money on ad, hoping that something will work, and they are left with subpar result. And deep down, they feel like things could and should be better. And what I really want to share with you in this video is that it has nothing to do with having the perfect hook or the using the latest AI software or even having the biggest budget. When it comes to succeeding with paid ads, unless you have and until you have nailed down these 5 questions and having a clear North Star before you even start to spend a dime on ad, you are always going to get less than what you could have truly, right? And I really want you to be aware of these before you hire your next marketing agency, before you or hire the next consultant, or before you even scale your ad spend, right? If you're the one that's currently managing your own ad spend. And the reason why I'm saying so is because over and over again, as I speak with business owner and as I'm in this consulting call and session trying to help them grow their company, I sometimes I've realized over the years that it always comes down to these 5 questions. The difference between business owners that were able to thrive in 7, 8 figure a year and those that were stuck at 30K, 40K per month in their business really came down to them having clarity around these 5 key questions. And I really, really advise you to, if you're listening to this episode while driving, just listen to it. But ideally, you want to have a notepad, and just like take notes, or at least jot down these questions so that you can come back to them later on and really answer them. As even you can even do this with your team to really bring clarity around your marketing effort, right? If it's the first time you come across my content, my name is Jolie Mathieu. I am a paid ad strategist. I've been doing this for the past 4 years, working with clients across different industry, but really specializing with info product, high ticket businesses, helping them scale their company to multiple 7 figure per year and 7 figure a month through launches and other type of, marketing strategy that we design and launch for them. Now, the reason why I'm putting back the curtain and sharing this exact question with you today is because, again, when I work with clients, these are some of the things that we work through when we are designing their marketing strategies. And I feel like I will be doing you a service if you were, just listening to this podcast episode without really knowing the framework that you should have nailed down before even starting to spend money or keeping on spending money on ads. So I think this is probably one of the most important episodes I've made to date. And whether you are struggling to make your ad profitable, whether you are currently spending $10, $100, $10,000 per month on ads, it doesn't really matter. You can apply these no matter in which industry you operate, no matter what your offer is, because those are questions that always come when I publish this episode. These are going to help you get your ads game to the next level and get your revenue and your sales, and also having your team in the same page when it comes to what's next and what success and scaling looks like. Now, let's dive in, right? The first one is really about your number. Do you know your true number? The reason why we start here is because most businesses, this is where most businesses go wrong, right? They are making decision based on what the platform tells them. Typically, Facebook tells them, right? And they're like, oh, we've made this number of sales, or we've gotten a lead for this average cost. And they're trying to navigate their scaling season with a broken compass, right? And this might come across as shocking to you, but there's typically a wide gap between what you see on your ads manager and what the reality looks like. We were recently working with a client, we were auditing their ad accounts, and Facebook was showing them an average cost per lead of $62. They were showing them an average return on ad spend on their campaign for the entire month of 3.8x. So they were like, okay, we are doing good, but we know we can do better. But the shocking thing is that when we actually dig dug deeper, when we actually dug deeper, and the real number was actually in terms of cost per lead was $138, and the ROI was actually 1.8x ROI on the ad. So they were actually barely breaking even on the ads, and including all of the other costs, they were actually losing money on some of those campaigns. And that's the reason why you really want to have a great attribution system, and having, because if you have broken data, you are going to make biased decisions. You are going to take biased decision, and it's going to affect your profitability on the long run. And so how do you fix this? First of all, you want to run away from vanity metric, right? If you are still focusing on driving or having the most followers or the most number of likes on your social media posts, you are looking at the wrong things. More than ever in 2025 and beyond, you want really to focus on the metric that moves the needle and move away from the vanity one. And it's not, because the whole thing is really your marketing has to revolve around how can I make decision that affect my bottom line while serving my community, my client at the highest level. That really should be your biggest priority. And without proper attribution, you are essentially throwing just spaghetti at the wall, hoping that something sticks, and it never really works. So here's what you need to do. I would highly advise you to implement a proper attribution tracking system, right? Whether you do so with IVOS, Wicked Report, or Triple Well, if you're running if you are having e-com product, it doesn't really matter. You need to know exactly where your results are coming from, and which campaign, which ads, which creatives sorry, are actually driving the best return for your, for your business. And instead of just staying stuck at surface level metrics, when you actually have a deep attribution system, it shows you which ads, which creative are, performing the best, and which one should be turned off immediately. And that's what happens typically when we have a client that comes on board. We always start there. We literally just have them, if they haven't already, install one of those tracking system. And something that we've actually realize working with clients is that some clients actually have, because most of our clients are generating multiple 7 figures in the business, right? So most of them actually have one of these tracking systems installed, but they don't actually look at the data, right? They say, okay, we have this thing installed, it should be tracking our data, but they don't actually make decision based on all this data. They make decision based on emotions, or they just forget about it. And we are going to come back to this later. So having the thing installed, having the attribution model installed is just the first step. The next one is actually looking at those numbers and understanding how to make data-driven decision based on those numbers, and how those decisions are going to, either positively or negatively affect your business revenue, your business longevity on the back end. We've literally had a client, once we audited his data on Wicked Report, he was literally losing $15,000 per month on his ad. That could have been easily saved if he actually had taken the time to see where the bottleneck were and where the leaks in his ad funnel were. So I highly invite you to have as a priority to have some of these things, one of these tracking software installed, and actually do the hard, or just work with someone, work with a consultant, like myself, a marketing consultant or an agency. That's really going to help you understand what are the determine and how to make better decisions from it. Now, the second question that you want to ask yourself is, who is your real client and what are they worth to your company? Now, this is probably where I get a roll of eyes, because you probably heard it 1,000, like 10,000 times if you are, if you've taken any online marketing course over the past 100 years. So I just like, what was your ideal client avatar? But here I really want you to go one step further, because this is why I see a lot of business owners sabotage their ad campaign before they even begin, right? They are trying to be everything to everyone, and they end up being nothing to nobody, because if you are known as like the person that solve a specific pain point for everybody, guess what? You attract a flow of people, and you don't even have the capacity to filter out the best of the best, la crème de la crème. And I'm saying this specifically if you are someone that's building your company and you really want to serve, you really want to be known for something, you really want to stand for something, you want to have a legacy business that's known for having helped people achieve specific goals, because your ideal client should not be anyone that your program can help, or your ideal client shouldn't be anyone that has a pain point that your program solves. It should neither be anyone that has the money and that can afford your services, right? It has really, after being in this game for the past like 7 years, and working with clients and helping them scale for the past 4 years full time, I've come to realize that your ideal client is actually found at the interaction between what your program delivers on, what's the solution that you offer them, the pain point that they have, and but also those are the first things, right? But also, what's their capacity to actually afford your service? Are they actually financially able to afford your service? And what's the speed at which they are going to implement and actually get results from your program, right? Because again, most business owners either focus just on, okay, what's the pain point that my offer solves? Or they focus on, what do I offer and who needs this thing, or who can buy my thing? But they sometimes and most often forget actually who's that one person that not only has the pain point, has the financial means to afford what I sell, but also has the stamina to actually take action and actually get results from my offer, because those are the ones that are going to give me the juiciest, success stories, testimonial, and that are going to help me grow my brand even wider. And so I really want you to take time to think about that in that way. And this next step is actually, what are they worth to you? But before we go there, I want to share with you something that happened to me back in 2022, right? So I started the business full time in end of 2020, right? And in 2021, it was just really me trying to figure things out, working with different client type and just looking at what do I like, what don't I like as much, and testing. Like we've worked with insurance agent, like real estate brokers, mortgage brokers. We've done like so many niches, like solar businesses, e-com client. And by 2022, I just sat with myself and I created what we now call our ideal client persona. And what is really allow me to really visualize is who is the ideal client that I actually want to work with. Now, this is not just another client avatar thing. It's a strict set of criteria that really transform our businesses in 2023 and 2024. And for us specifically, it really meant understanding that our best clients were online service-based businesses doing at least $8,000, but ideally $10,000 or more per month. That was in 2022, right? That were acquiring at least 3 to 5 clients per month consistently. So they had already gotten traction with the business. They were already like up and running and having money coming in consistently. They had a minimum client value of about $3,000 to $5,000 per month, but they also had a pretty optimized sales process that needed to be refined, right? They had tried ads, but they didn't really have much success with ads, and they were looking for a better strategy, a better approach to making the ads more profitable. And so once I had that from what back in 2022, it really allowed me to become really, really really clear on my messaging, on our client, on our acquisitions channel, but also on how we position ourselves and how we communicate in the marketplace. And you might think, oh my God, but that sounds really limiting, and that's true. It's going to feel like it's limiting at the beginning, but here's what happened, right? Our renewal rate, really increased, exponentially increased. We were able to get more referrals. But most importantly, what I actually love the most about having these strategies is that our ad campaign that we run for our own business were significantly more profitable because we're targeting exactly people that we knew we could help the most. We had better testimonial, we had better success stories that we leveraged to get even more clients, and we really became a magnet to our ideal clients. And sometimes what I see happen is that business owners rush to get anyone they want to work with, anyone or everyone, and they get to that place where they're like, oh my God, I hate these clients, I don't want to get on calls with them, they're draining my energy, they expect to get results overnight, they don't understand the process, they have all of those things that they complain about the client, but they forget to realize and they forget to take accountability, because ultimately you are the one that brought in those clients, right? And your messaging brought them in. So getting clear on who they are is key. Now, the second part of this question, which is what are they worth to you, is extremely important, because it's really going to dictate how much you can spend to acquire a client. And the reason why I'm saying so is because I want you to take this exercise and ask yourself, how much does someone spend? How much does a client spend on average when they get to your ecosystem, right? Is it $500? Is it 5,000? Is it 15,000? What's a client worth to you, and what's the average lifespan of a client? How much on average do they stay with you? And you need to get clear on this because it's really going to make you understand how much you can spend to acquire a client. For instance, if you know that a client is worth you, let's say $8,000 over the course of their lifetime, when they are with you, it gives you more freedom to actually go and actually spend more on ads. I see clients that are selling multiple four-figure offer and they are afraid to spend $5, $10 on ad. And I'm like, or on their marketing, right? And I'm like, do you even realize that if you only had like 3 clients, you will make like 50% more on your ad spend on your marketing if you were willing to invest $5 $5,000 on your marketing? So having that clarity is really going to give you a sense of freedom and a sense of control when it comes to how much you can afford to invest in your marketing. And it goes the other way around. If a lifetime customer for you is just worth $200, it becomes really hard to scale your ad spend because you might be in the season, or you might find yourself in the place where you are barely breaking even because your offer is priced at such a low point. And that's why I've made a video. I've made an episode recently where I talk about how do you actually price your product for profit, because if you think about investing in marketing to grow your company, pricing is going to be key. Having margin is going to be key to be able to invest into the company. So that's the second question, which like question A and B. The third one is your sales process actually built for scale, right? Because this is the thing, right? If you are trying to scale your ad spend before your sales process is ready, it's literally going to feel like you are pouring money into a leaky bucket. You're just going to be wasting money faster. And this became really apparent for me when I was working with a client last year in 2023. It was a solar company, right? They were working with and their helping them grow their client base, helping them have call scheduling, optimizing the sales process to get those people to actually come on, get on the call and get closed. And when we started working with them, they didn't have a presence online. They were starting from scratch, and they were just like, okay, let's just start running ads, and this is going to save our life. And I told them, okay, if we want these ads to be profitable, we need to think beyond just the ads. We need to build your email. We need to build a content warm-up strategy. We need to build your social media presence because people are going to check you out, and you want them to feel like you're someone that's trustworthy. But beyond that, we also need to think about what's going to happen if they don't show up for the call, if they show up but they don't purchase. How are we going to target them and set up a fund? And they were like, yeah, but that's not really a priority for us right now. Let's just run the ads, and we hope it's going to work fine. And in that case specifically, there was a massive gap for the first couple of months between that client that didn't have a backend, that didn't have a sales process built, and the other client we serve in the same niche that had a sales process built out. Because those one were able to really optimize and make more money with the same ad spend than these guys that didn't want to go the mile to do it. And that's why I sometimes say, okay, if you are if you're hiring an expert to help you grow your company, you need to be willing and humble enough to actually listen and actually implement some of the things that they actually advise. Because if you don't, guess what? You are going to waste money ultimately and not get result. Now, with these clients specifically, after the first 45, 60 days, they saw that we could have done better. They said, okay, we are getting results, but these are not really optimal. Let's actually build some of that stuff so that we can actually get better results. And we ultimately did. But there are so many business owners that I see that are just running ads, and they're hoping that the ads is going to do all of the heavy lifting. They have no sales process, and they're wondering, oh my God, how come am I not yet at 6-figure month? How come am I not yet at 80K per month, multiple 6 figure per month? It's probably because you don't have on the back end the sales process that's designed to support the scale. And I get it. You are, as the business owner, as the founder, you have a gazillion stuff on your to-do list. You are, putting a fire every single day. It's like, I know how it feels like. But what I really want to encourage you to do is start prioritizing what needs to be done, right? And think about how can I work? How can I build something today that's going to feed me, not only today, but that's going to feed me in 5 years, in 10 years, in 1 year, next year, right? Because once you start thinking long term, and once you start thinking, how can I actually replace myself in the business? How can I actually remove myself and even remove some of the human labor, or even some of the thought process that goes into managing some of this stuff? You actually start thinking about system and processes and scale in a whole different manner. Having been behind the scenes and building and optimizing the system from business owner making 8 figures, and for those that are stuck at 40K per month or 30K per month, I can actually guarantee you that they say an obsession, right? That's really the biggest difference. There's an obsession behind business owner that's actually driving multiple 7 figure in their company or 8 figure in the company with systems and processes that those that are stuck at 40K, 50K simply don't have. And we were working with a client recently that was spending about 30K per month on ads. He had great about funnel metrics. He had tons of leads, but they were barely breaking even, right? And they were like, oh my God, we are spending so much on ads between Facebook and YouTube, and we are yet to actually get a consistent 6 figure month. What's happening? And as I actually dug deep into their numbers, into their process, into the data, I realized that the sales process was held back or was held together with duct tape and hope, right? And so I really want to share with you so that you can actually picture how it looks like. I want to share with you how a scalable sales process actually looks like. And it looks like having a clear journey, a clear buying journey from someone discovering who you are to them buying your process, to them buying your offer. Right? It should be very clear. It should be very streamlined. It also looks like at every drop of your client in your process, you need to have something that pulls them back into the ecosystem. So you want to think about, okay, if someone discovers me from the moment in which they discover me to the moment in which they purchase, they are going to follow this journey, right? And at every breaking point in their journey, if they, for whatever reason, they get distracted, they see a better offer, they have some doubts, they have some questions, they are unclear about what we actually do behind the scenes. We need to have marketing assets that along the journey that's designed to answer those questions, overcome those doubts, to bring clarity and build trust and position ourselves as authority in order to really speed them to our buying process. That's how it looks like. It also looks like having ease when it comes for them to actually schedule a call or do whatever you want them to do. Whether that's schedule a call, watch the webinar, purchase your thing, it has to be easy. If you want them to actually get on the call, if you have a process where you actually get them to get on, if you have a process where you actually get them on the call and close them and your sales team actually close them on the call, you want to have clear rules that pre-qualifies them before they even get to schedule a call. Because you don't want to get people on your call that have no clue what you sell, what makes you different, what makes you unique, that cannot even afford your services. So you need an automated qualification process that protects your sales team time, so they don't end up on the call burn out speaking with person that cannot afford what you sell. You need a clear hands off between marketing and sales, right? What are some of the key deliverables for each teams? And how can they work together? Because typically there's always this battle between the sales and the marketing is like, oh, we've given you guys the best leads, or we've given you guys the best prospect, and the sales team is like, oh, these are shitty leads, they have no money or whatever. So you need to have clear metrics that actually allow you to assess, track, measure, and optimize the performance of each team, and bring clarity around those type of discussion, right? And you also need systems that are going to make your sales teams, your marketing team work easier, right? If you think about, like, you want to think of your business, you want to think about your business as a company and as a self-sustaining engine, that has to get better as time goes by. And the only way in which your system, which is here, your company, is going to get better as time goes by is if you actually build systems that are managed and optimized by human beings that are extremely smart, that allow those systems to get better as time goes by. And I want you to think about any athlete or any top performer that you know, whether that's what comes to my mind is like Beyonce or Serena Williams or LeBron James, right? If you think about any of these guys for a second, you're going to realize that none of them are going there to are out there, doing their own grocery shopping or planning their meal or even like doing their own laundry. Why? Because every ounce of their energy needs to go into performing their task at their peak. So they employ people that's going to help them to optimize all those areas in their life which are required and that are going to help them perform at the highest level. So you as the business owner, you need to have the clarity in terms of what's required to get to the next level and have in your team key people at strategic roles that are going to build this system and which are going to allow you to scale further faster. Right? This is extremely important. Now, the fourth question which you need to ask yourself is: are you using data for profit? Are you using data for profit? Because I know this is a tricky one because as I speak with business owner, it's probably one of that one area where they feel the most confident around. They just don't know which data to look at to focus on beyond just okay, here's how much money we made and here's how many clients we've gotten, right? And maybe here's how many clients have churned. But they don't really know exactly which lever to pull to move things forward in a speed that they want. Because as a business owner, typically you are the visionary, you see things 5, 10, 15 step ahead of your team, and but sometimes going from where you are to that vision and knowing which data to optimize when it comes to your marketing to actually get there faster is where I see the biggest gap. And I really want you to understand that data is your friend. And unless you are really able to familiarize yourself with data and understand which number matter the most when it comes to driving growth in your company, you are always going to be stuck and you are going to be in a space where you are always outsourcing your authority, which is the person that you don't want to be as the founder, as the head of growth, right? Because if you are outsourcing your authority, if you don't know which number to look like, or if you are too focused on just surface level metric, like, okay, this is the revenue, or this is our CPM, this is our CTR, this is our CPC, but you're missing, right? You're missing the gold mine of data sitting right in front of you. It's going to be really hard. And I'm saying so because a couple of months ago, I was working with a client and really auditing his business to understand which areas he could focus on to drive more growth, because we had this consultation call where he said, okay, we've been stuck at this, revenue, we've been stuck at 7 figure for the past 5 years, right? And we really want to get to multiple 6 figure. Really want to get to multiple 7 figure. We really want to cross that mark, but I'm not really sure which number or which action to take to drive growth to the next step, right? And really doing a deep dive into the numbers, into their funnel, into their ad account. I was able to identify, okay, these are the funnels that are performing the best. These are the offers that are performing the best. And these are the things that actually should be driving you the better results if they were to be implemented. This is where money is being lost because it's not been driving revenue for the past however many months. And like even more recently, I was working with another client and we were looking at, okay, what acquisition channel actually, because we think about scaling, right? And she was actually, should we actually stop our organic effort because we are not getting much engagement? And should we just focus on ads because we are posting content on all platforms, but we are barely getting any, comments or like or what have you? And when I was like, okay, hold on for a second before we actually stop with the organic content, let us look at not just the surface level performance, which is okay, engagement, like comments, but let's look at actually action taken from viewers. And we'll discover that YouTube, right? YouTube and TikTok both of those channels were actually driving about 58% of the closed deal for the company, with YouTube really leading at about 40% of the whole thing, right? And those were literally that were worth anywhere from $5,000 to $12,000 each of them. And these came because people will discover them or will discover this client, her, from the ads. They will check her out on YouTube. They will check her out on social media, on TikTok as well, because she was selling to a younger crowd. And they will then go ahead and, they will watch a couple of videos and they will then go ahead and reach out and purchase. So if we had stopped creating the content because we thought, okay, you know what, this is not really working well, we are not getting likes or what have you, we will have lost about, 58% of revenue that were coming from this channel. And so just looking at that number, it led us really have a focus and hiring more people to help her really optimize and scale further her content team. So I'm sharing this because again, if you are not clear on what's driving the growth, you might take wrong decision, which is going to impact your growth long term. And if you and that's why I started with attribution, because if you don't have the proper attribution of data and you are not tracking the metrics that matter, you're just shooting yourself in the foot, right? So you need to know which channel actually drive close deals, which content resonate the most with your qualified prospect, which headlines, which hooks perform the best with your ads, which type of creative does your audience resonate the best with, right? How different touch point contributes to your sale? What type of sales assets can you create beforehand to really indoctrinate your prospect and lead them to purchase in a faster fashion, really closing the gap between someone discovering you and then becoming a client. Those are questions that you really want to ask yourself if you are committed to using data for profit. All right. And the fifth one is, are you using content and storytelling to build a moat around your company? And this is probably one of the most underutilized strategies in paid advertising, because most business owners think that it's just about the ads. And I'm probably one of the ad strategies that's the most vocal about. You need to think it's not just about the ad. It's a whole thing, right? Because your customer is smart. Your client is not dumb, right? Most, and especially because we live in a day and age where trust is at all time low, you need to show up everywhere. You need to be committed to creating a moat around your company that makes you bigger than the sun. That makes you bigger than any of your competitors. That makes your competitor literally irrelevant, right? And this magic happens when you actually combine paid advertising with a strategic content and a storytelling, right? And what if we were to come back to the client that I mentioned earlier, that was struggling to scale at $30,000 per month, right, in ad spend? We actually decreased the ad budget initially because we realized that they were literally wasting about 15,000 of that ad spend in things, campaign, creatives, messaging that was not leading to any growth. So in the first month of working together, we decreased the budget by 50% because we wanted to go back to a phase where we identify the winning component, the winning messaging, winning creatives, winning funnel, winning audiences before scaling. Scaling only happens after you go through a phase where you've, uncover winners, stabilize those winning campaign, tested different element and really having proof around what's working. You can really, most business owners sometimes they try to test and scale at the same time, which is why they were spending $30,000 on ads, but they were barely making 1.5x ROI on the back end. It was just tragic, right? So we scaled back the ad spend. We went back to the fundamentals, to the foundation and really the basic. And we invested some of that ad spend in creating compelling case study, educational content, really working around, optimizing the messaging, crystallizing the messaging, and getting clear on which audience pocket will have the best result with their offer. That's key, because if you have, in this case, for instance, this client was selling different products and had a beautiful product suite with offer ranging from $150 all the way up to 12 $1,800. And we realized that about 48% of the revenue was driven from the offer that were $1,000 and plus. And so we say, instead of breaking our back, trying to get you these sales with a low ticket offer, let's really work on crafting a compelling message, optimize funnel, and really diving deep into what makes your client resonate and creating marketing assets that are going to convert your audience into clients. And the result, after 60 days of working together, the cost per acquisition literally dropped by 40%. The conversion rate doubled, Why? Because by the time the prospect actually saw their offer, they had already bought the story, they had bought into the vision of the company. They were sold on the result that the offer was able to produce for people just like them. So for them, it was just a no-brainer. And this is not about just, oh, go ahead and create more content on all platforms. It's about strategically understanding what are some of the buttons that you need to push to get your client to see you as the trusted authority that you are. Now is not the time. If you are really committed to creating this legacy business, it's not the time to just like hide behind the scenes and trying to play humble or diminishing your accomplishment. Now is a really time to invest into understanding how do I communicate my message in a way that's compelling enough and that's going to get someone to say, yes, I want to work with you because I trust you. It really comes down to trust, right? And no one is going to shoot your horn on if you don't do it. You need to be your biggest cheerleaders, right? And I really want you to have a top of mind if you are committed to driving and generating million with your ads, with your marketing strategy overall. Here, these are the 5 key questions that I really, really want you to focus on and to dive deep on. And I've gone through this process, and I actually go through this process like every year to see if anything has changed. And I highly invite you to do so with your team, with yourself. If you're a one-man show, a one-woman show for now, it's absolutely fine. The first one is, do you know your numbers? What are your real numbers? Do you have the real attribution on your data? If not, the first thing is install an attribution software on all platforms where you run at. The second one, who is your real ideal client and what are they worth to you? And we talk about having an interaction between 4 key variables. And I really want you to understand those variables for your offer specifically and see who is your ideal client and define, like I did for my consulting business, where I define for your own business what are those things, what are those criteria that your ideal client should meet to work with you. It's going to bring so much clarity when after you do so. The third one is your sales process built for scale? Fourth, are you using data for profit? And fifth, are you building a content moat to really make your business, your company bigger than the sun? Right. So here's your action step for this week, like we always do. Right. Take these 5 questions and audit your current advertising effort. Be brutally honest with yourself, right? The answer might be uncomfortable at first. It's fine. We all start at zero. It's absolutely fine. I think knowing you have an issue is already the first step in solving the issue itself. So be brutally honest. See what the blind spots are. See how much work is required, because once you do so, you know exactly what needs to change to start generating more with your ads, right? And if you are ready to implement this strategy in your business, but you are not sure how to actually do so, hit me on IG or LinkedIn at Jolie Dematio. That's where I'm the most active. Or just head over to Dragon Consulting/demo to schedule a call. My team and I will help you craft a customized scaling plan based on these 5 questions to really help you take your business to the next level. If you got value from this episode, I would love for you to leave us a review. It means the world to me. Or if there's a comment or an episode that you would like me to cover on the next episode, or a topic that you would like me to cover on this next episode, let me know as well. You can send me a message to let me know. Thank you so much for listening. The episode, if you got value, make sure to share this with someone that it will help as well, because I think the more we have this education in the hands of people, of business owner, the better company we build, the better we do for the economy as a whole, and the better team we build, and the more impact we have as a community. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you got value, and I'm so grateful that you here. Until next time, keep testing, keep learning, keep scaling, and never stop optimizing. And take care of yourself. This is Jolie Dematio signing off. Bye bye.